This is Pastor John Hagee. He's a televangelist. If you're unfamiliar, he's probably most famous for being obscenely anti-Semitic. I want to talk about the difference between pro-Israel people, pro-Zionist people, and anti-Semitic people. I want to talk about like that whole mess and what's the difference, because this guy said some really wacky stuff about Jewish people, but is for some reason speaking at a pro-Israel march November 15th, 2023.
As we gather here today, in Israel's darkest hour since the Holocaust, the Jewish people once again search the globe for friends. I am here to deliver a singular message. Israel, you are not alone.
So it's so extremely bizarre to hear this guy saying this, because John McCain famously rejected his endorsement in 2008, I think is when he was running against Obama or whatever. He rejected his endorsement because he was so anti-Semitic. So what is going on right now? Let's talk about this guy. Let me just introduce you to him if you're unfamiliar. This is mid-May 2022, John Hagee talking about his ideal view of the world.
What would happen if America obeyed all of the 10 Commandments?
Wait, why would America obey the 10 Commandments? That was fulfilled by Jesus. We don't follow those anymore. That's why we can eat shellfish and pork, and why we wear cotton and linen blends, and we don't stone children for being rude to their parents and stuff, right? Okay, I don't know why we would do that, but all right, go on.
Our schools would be teaching the 10 Commandments, not throwing them out the back door.
Why would they be doing that? Do the 10 Commandments say you should be teaching the 10 Commandments? I don't remember that. By the way, when he says 10 Commandments, what he really means is the old law, 613 commandments. The first 10 weren't really separated from the others. Yeah, the old law was just done away with by Jesus.
There wouldn't be a critical race theory being taught. There would be no
you can see where this is dated, right? When people were going hard against CRT, critical race theory, just absurd, dude. It switched to wokeism like a month later.
being taught. There would be no transgender sex being taught.
That's not being taught.
If the 10 Commandments were in the schools, there would not be condoms in the restrooms.
Wait, are there condoms in restrooms? Is he talking about like any restrooms or like elementary schools or what? Like, what's he talking about?
Restrooms. There wouldn't be crime in the street, for you shall not steal. There shall not be murder, you shall not commit murder.
Wait. Okay, hang on. So he's saying if we codify these laws, then it won't happen. So if we just push through a law on theft and murder, then there won't be theft or murder anymore. Yeah, we should start lobbying for anti-murder laws. Maybe that'll stop it. It won't be in the streets anymore, according to this dude. Quick interjection. I won't take long. I just wanted to tell you guys, YouTube's algorithm operates off of a few factors. Watch time, whether or not you subscribe, and whether or not you like something. So if you really want to help my channel, I would appreciate it if you guys watch the video to the end. If you don't watch it to the end, just watch a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. I would appreciate that very much. All right, let's get back to the video.
There shall not be murder, you shall not commit murder. There would be no abortions, because I assure you, in God's opinion, abortion is murder.
No, it's not. I assure you, the Bible endorses abortion. Numbers 5:11-23. It says, if a wife is unfaithful, you should take her to the priest, who's going to whip up a concoction, give it to her, she drinks it, and if she did cheat, then it's going to abort the baby. That's what that set of verses say. God was in favor of abortion, not opposed to it. Islam and Judaism both are fine with abortion at a certain point. I don't know why Christians are so dead set against it. It makes no sense. It's nowhere to be found in the Bible aside from right there. Numbers 5:11-23, and it's positive about it. Oh, he's getting claps for that. That is John Hagee. Give you a little idea of who he is. Now, I dug up from the archives this old video, late 90s, that shows why this guy had his endorsement rejected by John McCain for anti-Semitism, okay? Listen to what he said in one of his sermons in the 90s. And by the way, he said it in the 90s. He reaffirmed it in his books in the 2000s, and he repeated it and went on to spread the idea and build on it and everything else throughout the year. So yes, he said it once in the 90s, got in a ton of trouble for that, and started framing it in a slightly less repulsive way. But just listen to this.
Again he said unto me, prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, O you dry bones, hear the word of the Lord.
He's talking about the book of Ezekiel.
And he spoke to them, and they stood, and they became an exceeding great army, meaning they physically came to life. Now how is God going to bring them back to the land?
So he's got a backwards interpretation of this Ezekiel verse, of this prophecy. I guess he believes that Jews are going to be brought back to Israel and take control of it. And when Jews take control of the Israel area, that's when the end is going to happen. Armageddon is going to be sparked, and so on and so forth. I think that's his theology.
The land. The answer is fishers and hunters.
So how are Jews going to be driven back to Israel? Fishers and hunters.
The answer is given in Jeremiah 16, verse 15 and following. God says in Jeremiah 16, behold, I will bring them, the Jewish people, again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. That would be Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Okay, so the book of Jeremiah was not talking about the year 2000 or 1990 or whatever, 1997. Wasn't talking about 97. It was talking about that time frame and that area for those people. This is not a prophecy that was supposed to be fulfilled thousands of years later.
Behold, I will send for many fishers, and after will I send for many hunters. And they, the hunters, shall hunt them, that will be the Jews, from every mountain and from every hill and from out of the holes of the rocks.
Yeah, this is a completely backwards interpretation of these verses. Does not mean any of this stuff, actually. But okay.
Out of the holes of the rocks. If that doesn't describe what Hitler did in the Holocaust, you can't see that.
You know, you're understanding what he's saying here, right? He's saying that Hitler was acting under God's will. Hitler was doing what God wanted. Oh boy, that did not go over well at all with anybody. That's straight up anti-Semitic extremism, right?
So think about this. I will send fishers and I will send hunters. A fisher is someone who entices you with a bait. How many of you know who Theodore Herzl was?
So he talks about Theodore Herzl. Okay, all right, we'll listen to it.
Theodore Herzl was. How many of you don't have a clue who he was? Woo! Sweet God.
Yeah, he goes on to say Theodore Herzl was the father of Zionism. Zionism, of course, is the idea that Jews deserve to own the Holy Land, like Jerusalem, Samaria, and the Golan Heights, and that whole area. They deserve to have that area because God granted it to them. That's what Zionism is. And what's more extreme Zionism is the idea that if you tear down the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, the two very important sites in Islam, if you tear them down and build a Jewish temple over it, then it will spark Armageddon. That's Zionism, extreme Zionism. That's been the explicit goal of a lot of Christians. As a matter of fact, as I said earlier, this guy right here, John Hagee, is about as anti-Semitic as it gets. But he's Zionist. He stands for the idea that Jews deserve to have the Holy Land. Once the temple's built, he thinks 2/3 of the Jews are going to be murdered outright by God, and another 1/3 will convert to Christianity after the temple is built, and there will be no more Jews, and that is his goal. I'm not joking. That is the theology. So the guy is not pro-Jewish. He is not in favor of Jewish people living out their lives without being attacked or hated or whatever else. He is in favor of Jews being slaughtered en masse in the name of Armageddon, in the name of the end coming, being fulfilled. That's anti-Semitism. Zionism is anti-Semitism. If you are a Zionist, you're anti-Semitic. Straight up. Particularly if you're a Zionist Christian, you are foaming at the mouth for an opportunity to see the Jews die in Armageddon, effectively. That's what a lot of Zionists are about. That's why John Hagee went to this march after saying that Hitler was acting under the hand of God. He was doing what God wanted him to do. After saying that, he went to this Stand With Israel march and expressed his support for Israel. He is both anti-Semitic and pro-Israel simultaneously. And this is John McCain rejecting his endorsement, 2008.
But your own campaign acknowledged that you should have done a better job of vetting Pastor Hagee.
Oh, sure.
So was it a mistake to solicit and accept his endorsement?
Oh, probably. Sure.
So you no longer want his endorsement?
Many things. I'm glad to have his endorsement.
Even John McCain at the time rejected the endorsement of John Hagee because he was too anti-Semitic. That should tell you something, right? Let me give you a little bit of an idea of who John Hagee is aside from all of that. I said he's absolutely psychotic. Let me establish that for you. In the early 2000s, he said this. Check it out.
We are a pagan nation where we're rebirthing Sodom and Gomorrah. Your daughter can get an abortion at public school without telling you.
Apparently, they are giving abortions at public schools. This is news to me. I had no idea. This is absolute psychosis, man. I'm telling you. Guy lives in another dimension, practically. What the hell is he talking about? Check this one out. Mid-May 2022.
The Bible is forbidden to be read in public schools, public prayers.
No. You can read the Bible in public school to your heart's content. What you can't do is force somebody else to read the Bible in public school. Two different things.
The Bible is forbidden to be read in public schools, public prayers would be forbidden. The Ten Commandments were stripped from the walls of Congress and schools and universities. The fact is that every crisis America is facing can be solved by obedience to the Ten Commandments. That's not an overreach. That's a fact.
No, it's psychotic.
It's time for 65 million Christians in America to stand up and fight back and be counted. Vote the Bible. Vote the Bible. Vote the Bible.
And I'll tell you what the Bible wants you to do with that vote. I will explain to you what the Bible thinks, or what the Bible wants you to think about abortion and gay rights and all of this other stuff. The Bible wants you to be Republican, apparently, in this guy's mind. Psychotic. This coming from somebody who claims to be a follower of Jesus. You know, the guy who never said an ill word about the LGBT community in any way. You know, the guy who never mentioned being gay at all. Apparently wasn't an important issue for him. Had an opinion on just about everything except for that. Jesus, you know, the guy that never said anything about having abortions and how bad it was to have abortions, that one. Jesus, the guy who never said women should shut their mouths and sit in the back and just listen quietly, and if they have a question, ask their husband. Never said that. Jesus included women in his ministry, in his service, heavily. So I don't know what this guy's talking about. I don't know where he thinks he's getting all of this from. It's nonsense. It's not biblical. And even if it was, it's wrong.
Bring righteousness back to America. Let freedom ring. Can I get a witness?
Let freedom ring. He says freedom. I mean, we just heard him saying like a big list of things people shouldn't be allowed to do, right? And things that he denounces and all this stuff. He doesn't want freedom. He wants tyranny wearing the cloak of freedom.
It's time for 65 million people to take our Bible-based convictions and drive this godless socialist administration out of office. Do it now. Righteousness exalts a nation.
Godless socialist? Are you kidding me? The United States is a secular nation, so naturally it has to be godless. Yes. Congress shall make no law respecting religion or the establishment of or whatever else. That is a secular section of the Constitution. We are a secular country. But for what it's worth, we've never had a president that was not a Christian. Joe Biden, when this video came out, Joe Biden was president. Joe Biden is a Catholic. Hard Catholic. And in addition to that, Joe Biden is not socialist. Nobody in government, in the federal government, as far as I know, is socialist. I've never heard of anybody being socialist in the federal government. But okay.
Administration out of office. Do it now. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Give the Lord praise in this house.
This dude needs help. This is absolutely insane. And this is who is advocating for Israel. Not for Jews, for Israel. There's a distinction there. He wants Israel to exist, and he wants Jews to go back there because he believes God is going to usher in Armageddon and murder them. That is not pro-Jewish. That's pro-Israel and anti-Semitic. I see this entirely too often with televangelists, with Christian, evangelical, extremist preachers. This is like part of their belief system, seemingly. I mean, this guy needs help. Absolutely insane. And I hope I've drawn out what Zionism is and why it's bad. Zionism is inherently anti-Semitic, certainly when it's coming from Christians. It's destructive and terrible. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. This dude's awful. Oh, by the way, you have no idea how hard it was to find this clip.
I didn't write it.
I searched for ever to find this. I found a ton of examples of people citing this talk, but for the life of me, I could not find it. I finally got my hands on it, and now you guys have your hands on it too. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments.